Bros, you celebrate say your wife dey pass you. Omo, you never know the danger wey dey your house. My wife no fit betray me. Any man wey no dey control the money for him house no be man. Once woman hold the purse, respect don finish. Exactly, man, bros.
Baby, here is the food I prepared.
So you expect me to eat the food you prepared before I enter house, Abi? Now that your salary is higher than my own, no respect for me again. You think you're better than me now? A real wife should cook fresh food the moment her husband enters the house.
My name is not important right now. What is important is the story I am about to tell you. Sit down, make yourself comfortable, because by the time I finish, you will understand why a woman must always think about tomorrow. But before I continue,
Please take a moment to like this video.
Subscribe to our channel for more emotional real-life stories like this. Thank you.
I met my husband many years before we got married. From the first day, I knew he was different. He was kind, he was patient, he made me laugh until my stomach hurt. When we started dating, I was already doing well at my job. I was earning good money. Some men would feel small beside a woman like that, but not him. He used to hold my hand and say, "Your success is my success too." I believed him with my whole heart. One afternoon, my best friend sat me down and held my hand and said something I will never forget. She said, "My sister, no matter how much you love this man, secure something for yourself. Buy a house. Put it only in your name. Nobody can predict tomorrow." At first, I laughed at her. I said, "This girl, why are you talking like that? My man is not like other men." But deep inside, her words refused to leave me. So quietly, without telling anyone, I went to a lawyer. I used my own savings, my own hard-earned money, and I bought a small house. Nobody knew, not even the man I was going to marry. I locked the documents away and continued living my life, loving my man with everything in me. We got married in a beautiful ceremony. Everybody danced, everybody blessed us. A year later, we had our first son. Those days were sweet. We walked together, we laughed together, we dreamed together. I thought to myself, this is what happiness feels like. But my friends, life has a strange way of testing what we build. 2 years into the marriage, I got a big promotion at work. My salary jumped higher than my husband's. I did not change. I was still the same woman who cooked for him, who respected him, who supported him. But something inside him began to shift. Slowly, quietly, like a small crack in a wall that nobody notices until the whole wall falls down. He started spending more time with 3 of his friends. Every evening, after work, he would disappear to meet them. I did not know it then, but those 3 men were about to plant a seed in his heart. A dangerous seed. A seed that would grow into something that almost destroyed everything we built together. I had no idea that the husband I loved, the husband who once celebrated my success, was about to become a stranger in his own house. What happened next changed my life forever. And trust me, you will not believe what those 3 friends were really hiding behind their big mouths and proud advice. Let me tell you about these 3 friends, because they are the real beginning of my problem. The first friend always bragged that his wife respected him like a king. He used to say, "In my house, I do not touch a broom. My wife does everything." My husband admired him so much. But what nobody knew was that this same man secretly washed his own clothes and helped his wife in the kitchen every single night, only when no one was watching. In public, he wore a mask. In private, he was a humble husband. He was simply too proud to admit it. The second friend always talked about how he controlled the money in his house. He used to say, "A man must hold the purse or his wife will not respect him." But the truth, which came out much later, was that this man depended on his wife's money to survive. His big talk was empty. It was all a performance for his friends. The third friend was the loudest of them all. He gave advice like he had a PhD in marriage. He used to say things like, A wife who earns more money than her husband will never respect him. What my husband did not know was that this same man almost lost his own marriage years before. His wife had almost left him. He was hiding his own pain by pretending to be an expert on other people's homes. These three men, broken in their own ways, became my husband's closest advisors. Every evening, at their usual hangout spot, they filled his head with poison. They told him that because I earned more money, I would soon stop respecting him. They told him a real man must control his wife before it gets too late. They laughed at him, mocked him, and made him feel small for being proud of me. Slowly, I started to notice changes in my husband. If I came home late from work because of traffic or a long meeting, he would shout at me, accusing me of disrespecting him. Even after working a full day, I still cooked, cleaned, washed, and took care of our son. But if dinner was already prepared before he arrived, he refused to eat it. He said a real wife should cook fresh food the moment her husband enters the house. I tried to explain. I tried to talk calmly. But every conversation ended with him accusing me of becoming proud because of my salary. Confused and hurting, I ran to my parents for support. I ran to his family too. But to my shock, everyone told me the same thing. Endure, respect your husband. He is the head of the house. Nobody asked what I was going through. Nobody saw my tears. Then, one evening, my husband sat me down and said the words that changed everything. He told me to resign from my job. He promised that if I stayed home and focused on our family, he would provide everything I needed. I loved my career, but I loved my home more. So, I made a sacrifice I would later question for the rest of my life. I resigned from my job because I wanted peace. Not long after, I became pregnant with our second child. When the baby arrived, my whole world shrank into 4 walls. Before I left my job, we had a nanny who helped care for our first son. But now, I did everything alone. I cooked breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I washed clothes by hand. I bathed 2 children, fed 2 children, and cleaned a whole house every single day without rest. I stopped having time for myself. My hair was no longer neat. My clothes were simple, sometimes the same outfit for days. I was too tired to even look in the mirror. I was giving everything I had to my family. And I thought my husband would see my sacrifice and love me even more for it. Instead, he started to complain about how I looked. He compared me to other women. He told me I had let myself go. He started coming home late, smelling of perfume that was not mine. I was not foolish. I knew what was happening. My husband had started an affair. My heart broke into pieces, but I did not scream. I did not fight. I simply watched and I planned. Quietly, I began collecting evidence, messages, receipts, small details here and there. At the same time, something inside me woke up. I refused to stay broken forever. Whenever the children slept at night, I opened my laptop and started working online. Small jobs at first, typing work, writing work, anything I could find. Slowly, very slowly, money started entering my private account again. My husband had no idea. He thought I had become weak and dependent. He was wrong. Then one evening, everything reached its peak. My husband walked into our living room with another woman beside him. He stood there, in our home, in front of me, and asked me a question I will never forget. He asked, "How can you compete with a woman like this?" The room went silent. My children were upstairs. My heart was pounding, but I did not cry. I did not shout. I looked at him calmly and said, I once looked exactly like her before I gave my body, my career, my sleep, and my dreams to build this family and raise your children. Nobody said a word after that. My husband, feeling embarrassed, told me he wanted a divorce. He expected tears. He expected begging. He thought I had nowhere to go because I had given up my job for him. He smiled and asked me one final cruel question. Where will you even live? My friends, that question was the biggest mistake he ever made, because what I revealed next changed everything. I looked at my husband. I looked at the woman standing beside him. And then, calmly, I smiled. I told him to give me a moment. I picked up my phone and made one short call to my lawyer. Within an hour, my lawyer arrived at the house with a folder of documents. My husband watched in confusion as the papers were laid on the table in front of him. I explained everything slowly so he could understand every word. Years before we got married, while I was still earning a strong salary, I had quietly purchased a house. I used a lawyer to protect the property fully in my name without telling anyone, not even him. I did this because of advice from my best friend. Advice I almost ignored. Advice that ended up saving my entire future. My husband's face changed completely. He stared at the documents, then at me, like he was seeing me for the first time. I was not finished. I told him about the online work I had been doing quietly for months. I told him about the savings I had rebuilt piece by piece, while he thought I was sitting at home doing nothing. I was not dependent on him anymore. I had never truly stopped fighting for myself. He asked, almost in a whisper, "Since when?" I simply replied, "Since the day you told your friends my success was a threat to you." That night, my husband realized that the wife he thought he could throw away with nothing had actually been building a safety net the entire time. The woman he mocked for having nowhere to go already had a home waiting for her and her children. The divorce process began soon after, because I had stable income, a secure home, and clear evidence of his affair, and the way he treated me emotionally. The court gave me primary custody of both our children. But the most painful part for my husband came later. He finally discovered the truth about his 3 friends, the same friends whose advice destroyed our marriage. The first friend, who bragged about never touching a broom, was secretly doing housework every night to support his wife. The second friend, who claimed to control his household's money, was actually living off his wife's income the entire time. And the third friend, who acted like a marriage expert, once almost lost his own wife and was simply hiding his shame behind loud opinions. None of them had the perfect marriage they pretended to have. My husband had destroyed his real family by chasing advice from men who were secretly failing in their own homes. By the time he understood this, it was already too late. The divorce was finalized a few months later. I packed my things, gathered my children, and we moved into the house I had quietly secured years before, the house nobody knew existed. Walking through that front door for the first time as my own, fully mine, with my children beside me, I felt something I had not felt in years: peace. I slowly rebuilt my career. I reached out to old colleagues, picked up new opportunities, and within a year, I was standing on my own 2 feet again, stronger than before. I started taking care of myself too. I cut my hair the way I liked it. I bought clothes that made me smile. I looked in the mirror again, and this time, I liked what I saw. My children grew up watching their mother rise from pain into strength. That, to me, became the greatest lesson I could ever teach them. As for my husband, life took a very different path for him. He lost his family, He lost the comforts of a home built with love. He watched his 3 friends, the men he once admired so much, slowly lose respect from their own communities once the truth about their hidden lives came out. The man who never touched a broom became a joke among his neighbors. The man who claimed to control the money was eventually left by his frustrated wife. The loud marriage expert quietly stopped giving advice to anyone. My husband was left with regret, sitting alone in an empty house, wondering how he allowed outside voices to destroy something so beautiful. Sometimes he would call to check on the children. I always allowed him to see them, because no matter what happened between us, he remained their father. But the love we once shared never returned. Some things, once broken by pride and bad advice, are simply too far gone to repair. If you are listening to this story today, let me leave you with the lesson I learned the hard way. A marriage is not built on ego. It is not built on competition, control, or fear of what other people might say. A marriage is built on trust, partnership, humility, and respect between 2 people, nothing more. And to every woman listening, always remember my friend's advice. Always plan for tomorrow, even while you are loving someone with your whole heart today. Not because you expect things to fail, but because a wise woman is never caught unprepared. I found my peace, I found my strength, and in the end, I found myself again. Before you go, let me ask you something. If you are in my shoes, if you sacrificed your job, your body, your peace, all to build a home, and your husband still chose pride and bad advice over you, would you have stayed quiet like me, or would you have fought back differently? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next story. New stories drop every week, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the
Next
next one.
time. Bye. Bye.